Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2Have and 2Role podcast. My name is Oliver. I am but one half of your hosting duo. I am joined by my co-host Robin, as always. Hey, Robin.
Hi there.
And on this show, we are going to, let me get this right because it is a mouthful, we are going to recap Empire LRP, the Winter Solstice Event 1, 2023. And this is part 2. We left off on the Friday evening last time, and we were going to jump straight into Saturday, I think. Before that, just the usual housekeeping. If you are watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel so you won't miss another episode. If you're listening on your favorite audio platform, consider giving us a 5-star review. That will also help us out a ton. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so with the details in the episode description. And with that all out of the way, and without any further ado, let's get into the Saturday of E1. So what did we do Saturday morning, Robin?
Not much.
We did loads.
Yeah, we did lots. We did, Saturday was such a crazy day. Saturday had a little bit of a negative start though, unfortunately for us, where when we left off the Friday episode, we spoke a lot about how cold it was and everything. Yeah, so I've learned lessons, and a huge thank you to those people who got in touch and have offered me some different things for E2. You know who you are. But Saturday morning, I was still freezing. I felt sick. I was physically shivering all over. And we'd been in bed all night. I had lots of layers on and just didn't do very well. So I went to the first aid tent. And so the first aid tent is like down just past God. And I was able to find a member of PD crew who helped me. They got me to the first aid tent. They checked me over, warmed me up, gave me some hot liquids, some food, everything else. They were wonderful. This is a huge shout out to the members of staff that helped me because they really took it seriously. They made me feel better, and they were just wonderful. And there was genuine concern there. They were very, very lovely, everybody there. And the people that are in the first aid tent for like 24 hours, I mean, you lot are just wonderful.
Yeah, the first aid team are amazing. Obviously, like you said, they were PD crew because it was early in the morning as well, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
kind of steered you towards where you needed to go. Because basically, you got up, right? And I was like, you got up shivering, and it wasn't like a freezing cold morning out like by the time you got up either. And I was like, you better go check, make sure you don't have hypothermia. Basically that, and I think there were some bad cases. I don't know whether there was actually any hypothermia on the field, but yeah, it was a very real risk.
Yeah.
But I think for you as well, just having a lot of times when you're not feeling right like that, just having someone say, hey, you know, your temperature's fine, your temperature's safe, and you looked a lot better by the time you came back
Oh
to the
yeah.
tent.
Definitely. It's just that feeling that you get, like you just said, you know, when you get a bit of a fright and you're just like, oh, wait, is there something wrong? This doesn't feel right. And then just having somebody be like, yeah, you're all good. We're going to do this though. And they gave me some advice and everything, and basically made it very clear that if after I'd properly had something to eat and drink, if I still wasn't feeling right, I needed to get straight back to the first aid tent. So yeah, they were wonderful.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was a person that had posted after the event in one of the Facebook groups, and they had a PDF on cold camping. There were some really good tips in there. I don't have the permission of the person to say who it was or anything, but I'll see if I can get the link to that and put it
Yeah.
down in the description as well. It's because like we you know, we did like a packing list and things like that, but we are not campers, and I know there's people with proper camping and survival experience or armed forces experience as well that you know how to camp in actually dangerously cold weathers. So we'll see
Yeah.
if we can put a link to that
Yeah, I'll
down
give a
there.
message because I read through it, and yeah, it was just a really good guide on just how to keep warm, and then specifically how to keep warm at Anvil itself. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the unfortunate bit out of the way with in the morning, and I didn't
Yeah.
die, so it was
Yeah.
great.
We didn't mention much about, so we'll go on about like our coffee situation here. We went on the Saturday. I counted. We went through 7 2-liter No, we went through seven. Those flasks are 1 liter, right? One and a
I thought
half
they were
liter.
2 liter. Yeah, I think they're one and a
I
half.
think
Yeah,
they're
they're
one
one
and a
and a half
half because
liters.
because
Yeah.
the enamel pots that I use are 2 liters, and
Yeah.
I think you can fill that up almost. Anyway, I went through 7 flasks of coffee on the Saturday. That's how much coffee I made, and like that's almost like a look, we're at the stage now. We could like if we did it a bit later, we could run it as a an in character business. That's like enough people coming over. It was awesome that we had so many people come over, and it's become such a like a communal little bit as well that
Oh
people are
yeah.
going to come over, and it gives me something to do. It makes sure I get up out of bed as well, because that's the thing. You end up like, obviously you end up going to bed late, and then you're like, by the time 6 o'clock starts to get going, you're like, okay, well, it's 6 o'clock. By the time I get up, do my usual morning stuff, then get the fire going, and then start boil. And especially because we went through so much coffee as well. Um, but also we were wanting to be sharp because we were fighting on the Saturday. So
Oh yeah, exactly. We wanted to just kind of like get a move on. And again, it's that sort of thing where you're like, oh, I should get out of bed. And then it's like, well, I'll get out and just put some coal in the fire. And then once you're up, you're up. So it's great. But yeah, I think we pretty much caffeinated the battlefield that day.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and then we got ready for battle.
Ooh, the battle.
Oh, where do we start with the battle?
Yeah, I think last time we left off when we talked about Friday, we had it was obvious. I can't remember whether we confirmed or not whether which one we were going to. No, we did.
We did, because we spoke about Grub
That's right.
Feast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we knew we were heading out to the Barrens. We had to kill Grub Feast, capture the traitor. There were also other threats. There was ritualists, and there were tormented souls, and there was going to be, I think, some sort of like undead Dornish knights as well with Grub Feast. I think
Yeah,
they were the
and there
threats.
was supposed to be them, and there was supposed to be Venom as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the Venom's obviously something that there wasn't any miasma either. That was the one good
No.
thing. The one easier part of this, because fighting in Zenith for so long, it was constant miasma, so we didn't have to worry about miasma this time. So as I said,
Nah.
we ended up with, I think there was. Hang on, let me just count in my head. There was 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there was 5 of us in our little lance,
Yeah.
and we were going out with the plan was to go out, stick with the Durondales, because I really enjoy fighting with fighting up front with the Durandals.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were part of the main force that was going to go out onto the field, and basically our job was to just push up the field and clear it for everyone else coming through to get to the second gate, or the breach, if you like, which is like a little choke point. So yeah, there's not really much to say before we headed out. Really, it's just.
Not really. We headed out. We did our usual.
Mhm.
We we were really prepared. That's the thing. We had the evening before, we had gone, obviously, like we said in the previous episode, we went to the Lance Captain's meeting, military council, and then another meeting at like 11 o'clock. So we had so much information there that it just felt like we knew what we were doing. We knew the people we had to keep an eye on, and we knew the other lances that were part of our wing, which did make it quite easy.
Yeah,
I did like the wing system actually. So
yeah.
yeah, we knew what we were doing, and we did it.
Yeah, yeah. It gave. I felt like it gives each little kind of group its own little bit of independence as well. That's why I liked. So you can, it's just a lot easier to be mobile, because that's the thing with like if you get into too big a group and you've only got one person leading a big group, it then becomes a little bit like you lose control of like your edges and things like that. So
Yeah.
you can't get communication up and down the line very fast. And it was handy having, well, it was handy having the knowledge. Now that this is it, like, even though I'm like, oh yeah, it was my first little bit of kind of leading, it was more to do with having the knowledge of like, right, okay, we know what we're going to be doing, and I know what the priority targets are and things like that, so I could help out. If I did spot ritualists, then I can spot try and see if I can spot archers, let the right people know. Tormented souls. I knew kind of I knew the like the lance and the other people involved, the high guard is involved, the highborn
Yeah.
involved in exercising, so I could spot them and be like, okay, get word to them that they need to come over here. um like commanding in the line, basically all you do is you have to do a lot of like jump. So say if there's a line of fighters, if you're trying to keep control of what's going on, you just need to push forward in front of the line and then keep dipping back and see what's going on. uh, the biggest difference for me this time compared to all the other times I've fought, I've just bothered about myself basically, and kind of what you're kind of doing, and having a look at the commanders and seeing what the kind of lance is doing. But really, I was just like not really looking behind me much, not being as aware this time. I was trying to keep a track of like 4 or 5 other people at all
Yeah.
times, which made it a lot more difficult to actually fight. Like if you because you would jump in, you'd fight, and then you got to be like, right, I can't get too carried away. I need to like be aware of like I need to see where the line is and what's happening, and then so I don't know if you noticed, Robin. I was basically jumping forward, doing a bit of fighting, looking around, and then stepping back behind you all,
Yeah. I mean,
seeing what was going on, and then stepping forward again.
like standing watching you do that and everything, because I was sort of like in the line and quite close to you most of the time. And yeah, you did a lot of that where you like step forward to look out, and it was quite obvious like what you were doing. That is the only time though that there's a few of the Druge who were just like being cheeky, and as soon as you turned to check where your line was and what was happening, they were like trying to like get shots out on you.
Yeah.
And it was like it was the way that you reacted to that half the time. Like you were just like as if they were going to hit you. It's almost if you ignored, as if you like got the hit and were like, die, right? What was I doing again? Yep, back to what I was doing. Like
That's
it was as if you
yeah,
didn't even bother, like just
yeah,
being die, you're done, carry on.
yeah.
Which was it was pretty cool actually.
That's actually part of the role play that's fun about that thing, because you're not ignoring them, but you are ignoring them. Because you are role playing that you're trying to keep an eye on what's going on, and if you get a little jab on the side of the head or something like that because someone's being cheeky because you're turning around, seeing what the line is doing, and you're basically trying to like put your arm out, being like, okay, well, this is where the line needs to be. So that we'll go through what happened. We pushed out, and we basically fat mushroomed out into the field.
Yeah.
And that was basically that was the important bit for me anyway. Thank you to thank you to all the players. I'm not going to say player and character names, but you know who you were. There were 1 or 2 times where I gave people like looks as if to be like, am I doing the right am I charging? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, there's a few people that like gave me that, like basically gave me a bit of encouragement, and were just like, yeah, like if I would like go, right, let's go, and everyone would move forward, and I would like do a little like cheeky look back, and there would be people, the kind of more veteran players, just being like, yeah, yeah, no, that's it. That's a good shout. Or the opposite. Sometimes I got 1 or 2 people being like, oh, just just like, maybe just watch that. Maybe just watch those ones over there. Apart from that, it went super smooth. That first push went super smoothly.
Oh yeah.
We ended up, so we kind of fanned out into the left, and then it was basically just a matter of just slowly pushing. And then once we got the rest of the nation, so on our side, the freeborn came up our rear end, and after that, it was just like, okay, push, bang, and then it was dead easy. Then we got up to the choke point.
Yeah, we got to the choke point really quickly, actually. I do feel that in Dawn in particular, as a nation, we're great at charging through and clearing areas. I feel like we struggle a bit when it comes to having to stand for a long time. I feel like we all get quite itchy, and there was a point where we'd cleared everything and we were waiting. We'd done our part, everyone else doing their part, and everything was going great. But I just feel like all of us were in this line and we were like looking at the Druge in front and we're like, we could just keep clear. We could go further. There's not that many of them. And everyone was like doing that thing. We're like, want to go. And that's when you had that sort of like control from like some people like yourself and everything trying to stop you, like, nope, don't do it yet.
Yeah,
I know we can take them, but there's a bigger thing happening here.
it's a slightly different job. That's the thing. It's a slightly different. You, instead of just being like, okay, I'm ready to like chomp on the bit and bite down and go forward, you have to be like, right, okay, you know, I'm basically all you're doing is just looking at either the other commanders, or just looking trying to get a different view of what the line is doing and what their line is doing. It's actually quite um it's a very different, it's literally a different view, because there was one point where yeah, we're pushing out, right, and it might feel like when you're in that line and you're in the Dornish line, you're pushing forward, and there was a few like newer players kind of like pushing out, and obviously as you're fanning out or mushrooming out, the line kind of thins slightly, and you're looking basically on that left hand side is where all those woods are, and so there's like a line of Druge, right, and all you can see is like acres and acres of field and a load of Druge. So it's so easy for when the Druze then charge, you feel very like, oh wow, okay, you know. But that's the point where, you know, the job I was doing was I was looking back, you know, and like you said, that's a dangerous thing, because you have to kind of do both. You have to like go, okay, well, I'm going to look back, jump back behind the line, jump in forward.
Yeah.
So you get an actual view. So basically, what was happening is that we had literally hundreds of Imperial soldiers bursting through that gate, and we had a small line of Druge, and that's the thing as well, like we know Druge tactics now, in character and out of character. The Druge tactic is to false charge and then run away, and they hope that you overextend when you counter charge. So when the first charge came, I shouted like, don't step, because I could feel a few kind of newer players, but you know, on that line, and I was like, do not, and I was like, I said it so assertive, like, do not step back. And the Druge was sort of going to stop anyway, but they kind of ran up and then stopped, and they ran away. And I don't know if this person's ever actually like, I need to okay with them to to see if they're all right with me talking about their character. But I love fighting with them. The person who usually leads the Durandals, I love fighting with them. They just turn around to me and they're like, I think you just shouted down that charge. It's just like, felt like I did.
Yeah, just that whole step back. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you get a different view on it, because you turn around, and I'm like, if they charge us, they've got nowhere to go. And you know, someone was like, well, there was a couple of people, like, oh, there's no one behind us, and I'm like, yeah, if you turn around, you'll see there is hundred. Like if they break our line, which they're not going to, they're not. All they're going to run into is hundreds of Imperials, and they will just be wiped out, and we'll get back up, because the Imperials just get us back up. But it's difficult to know that in the moment when you're being a wall of metal, and people are telling you don't step back and then step forward. You know, so it was interesting seeing that from a different perspective. But anyway, then we got to that breach, didn't we?
Oh my gosh, that breach. Yeah, this is where so there was a few different things going on here. So we needed to, from my understanding, we needed to have a path cleared in this section, so that people could get to the front to sort out the all the tormented souls at this bit. Is that right? Or the tortured souls. I always say tormented souls. I don't know why that's in my head.
Because I think the original plan was for one of the Dornish lances and the marchers to punch through. Yeah. We were all supposed to just move up the field. They were going to punch a hole, and we were going to spill through, and then the marchers were going to be the rear guard. What ended up happening is, I don't know, because I ended up in the front of the of the breach. I was just, but basically we were up there so fast. I was just like, we have shields. Let's get shields in this breach now.
There wasn't a lot like there though. Like when we got there wasn't a lot there, which makes me think the marchers had already punched a good point.
I don't know what happened, because
we were all in different bits.
We waited too long. I tell you what, we probably could have pushed right the way through. The problem was, if we had pushed then, we might have overextended, because I wasn't entirely sure at what state. I didn't want to punch through. And also, basically, so by the time we got there, we got there really early, and there was basically a line of tormented souls, and Druge, because we were fighting against the League, and there was a load of pikes. Not fighting against the League. The League were monstering basically. So
Yeah.
there was lots of pole arms and things like that. So we ran in there, and I was like, sod it, let's just be aggressive. Whatever they're going to do, it's good that we have shields here. So I go running in there. I go running in there. So someone hits me. They do catch me like on the chin. This was quite funny. It wasn't like a hard blow, and I was like, they caught me like bang on the chin. And the ref did this kind of like, oh, are you all right? And the person who did the blow went, oh, you're right, and it was fine. It was a perfectly soft blow. It was pulled. It was fine. And I just kind of went, I just gave a thumbs up. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then the ref kind of went, oh, good. And then came up and gave me a soul curse wound.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it. And then someone, what happened then? No, I think, and then after that, I think I just got pelted, and I was like, right, I'm going to get out of here, because I knew we were going to be there for a while. So there's no point. Again, I'm supposed to be keeping you all alive. So I'm like, I need to get out. I'm going to get out of here. So I went out. Now, this was the interesting one, because we had this discussion the other day about...
So before you go on to that, because something happened at the exact same time, which I think is going to go on to it.
Oh, really?
Because I was standing next to you when that all happened. And
you?
That's where I got my traumatic wound.
That's where you...
I was right next to you. I ran in with you because I was like, he's just running in. Oh shit, so am I, okay. And that's when one of the pole arms basically got me right in my side. And it was an excellent shot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good shot. They got me. And they got me, and I got strike down, I think, at the same time. A lot happened. And then as I got up, the ref kind of like went over and he was like, you okay? And I was like, I'm great as well. And he was like, no, you're not. You just got to be the card.
Yeah.
And I did that thing where I was like, okay. And I know this is what we're about to go on to chat about, because I was like, thank you. I don't know why I always say thank you when they give me a traumatic wound. This might kill me. And I'm like, thank you.
Well, I think it's because your role play is good. I mean, that's what I heard about the refs. Like, if the role play is good, that's when you get traumatic wounds. It's not like a random system. Like, they've chosen to like reward you as a player with a traumatic wound, basically.
And they like so I went to like put it away in my pack, and then he kind of like leant over and he was like, you might want to get that checked out. And I was like, right. And he was like, that weapon might be venomed. And I was like, okay. And that's when I ran to Rion. Rion.
Yeah,
and I'll let you go for what you were going to say. I think,
yeah. I mean, I will say this as well about like taking calls in that breach is difficult, right? It's difficult because like there's sometimes you especially when you're on the front there, and there's loads of pole arms, and you basically what happens is you'll just hear strike down, and it's just like, so obviously it's not like it is an actual risk of like crush in there, like out of character crush in there. So if someone goes strike down, you've got nowhere to fall back to. And you are going to go down. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but I'm going to go down, but then you get hit with a load of other things while you're trying to like carefully OC go down. So you look behind you, and you're like, right, I am going down. Some people know how to fall professionally. Some people are just young and bouncy, and they can just fling themselves back. I'm not old by any means, but I'm getting to the stage I'm just like, I don't want to blow my knees out, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But like, you look behind you, and then as you're trying to take this strike down, everyone's just like, cleave, weakness, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking all of your calls. Just give me 2 seconds to get on the ground. Hang on, like I will. Your call is important to me. I will get to it. So
you are number 2.
You are number 2 in the queue. Okay. So yeah, that it can get, because those things can like stack up real quickly, and sometimes it's just too much. And then you just like, right, I'm just get back out of here. But that's the usual rule, that if you're a shield in front, you need to don't get out before you go down. So as soon as I start getting hit, I'm just like, no, I'm out of here. And then there was no point anyway. But yeah, then I got this. So I got cursed again. Basically, I got possessed. So the card I wish I'd because I gave the card to the relevant person later, but it said on it. It said. the usual roleplay stuff that I recognize from being possessed, right? It's like you don't see color, you hear malicious voices, and people appear as shadows to you. And it said, and it kind of gives you a gauge on how serious some of these things are, because it said if you don't get this scene to, something along these lines, totally paraphrasing, if you don't get the scene to by the end of the event, then you collapse before at the end of the event, basically, or near the end of the event. So that kind of gave me an indication of, it's not like if you don't get this sorted within the next half an hour, then you are going to collapse and blah blah blah. So I was like, I have some time. Now I get a little, I got a little bit confused with the way the roleplay rules work, and we have had this cleared up from a friend who spoke to a ref on our behalf about this. So traumatic wounds and spiritual wounds, they say on them the roleplay effects, but there's no roleplay effect in Empire that takes away your agency, your character's agency completely. You can't ignore that they are happening to your character, but you get to decide how your character is dealing with them. I wasn't massively sure about that, so I was like, because on a traumatic wound, it makes sense, because you're just like, it was my last one that I got was like, oh yeah, you feel a sharp pain under your But I'm a changeling as well, and I was like, you know what? And I was in miasma, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to rage through this. That makes sense. And when the time comes that I come through the Sentinel Gate, the adrenaline starts to go away, and then I feel pain. But because it was like a spiritual curse, it was because it was a curse. I was like, how do is it cheating for me to ignore this for now, because I want to make sure I'm doing my job, because I don't want my first command be that everyone die because I turn on all my friends, and because I'm possessed. So I used a hero point. So the rules in hero points are you can use a hero point to ignore roleplay effects. So, but my question basically was like, my query was like, did I need to spend the hero point? And the what the ref had said was that I could have just based that if I felt like it was appropriate for the character to push through those effects, then it's not a big deal. It's fine. It's just like technically you can't ignore them, but you can't just be like, no, I'm just gonna shrug it off until I get back to the hospital. So you're supposed to do what it says on the card, basically. But it's not. It's never this is controlling your mind. You now attack your friends. Because I know some people do that when they're possessed. They will just take that look at that card and be like, I'm hearing malicious voices and everyone's a shadow. I'm gonna attack everyone around me. So
yeah, I mean, like, because I took mine to Rion, and I was just like, oh, I've got this, pain in my ribs and everything. And then I kind of like out of character was like, what, do I get this treated now? Like, I was a little bit confused. And he took the card and read it and went, yeah, we're going to get this done now. And then it wasn't until later that I properly read, because I'm a very good at reading quick bits of information anyway. So like out on the battlefield, I just hadn't properly absorbed it. And then I thought I still had to go to the hospital. And then at the end, I checked the card as we were like, walking, as we were between that point from like, we'd gone through the stones, but weren't quite at the gate yet. So it was in that little point. I went to read it. And it basically said that if I had been treated by anything that would cure the effects of venom on the field, then I can discard the card. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we had a look at it and everything. And yeah, it was a venomed spear that I'd been attacked with or something.
Yeah, so it was like, not only do you have the venom effect, it was just like the venom would then cause, I'm assuming that, I think was that the idea that
it was like a shorter time on my card. It was pretty much like basically, like it would start to spread from the wound and it would need surgery. And it was a short time on the card though. Like it was kind of like, it was pretty much like if I didn't get treated, like when I went through the gate to the hospital, then I probably would have died in my tent and done.
Yeah, but you got it treated like quick enough that it didn't make a difference.
Oh yeah, it was literally, I role played for a few seconds. Somebody grabbed me, took the card, treated me, did a load of cool role playing.
Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah.
So a few people get like a little bit like you said, angsty, especially Dawn, if they're like stood still. But I was actually fine with just like coming out and just chilling for a bit, because I felt like we did our job. I was like, we came in, our job was to push up the field, get everyone else to the breach. That was literally the job for the first half. And I was like, well, we've done our job. We did a lot of running. We did a lot of chasing. I did a lot of shouting. Now we get to like chill for 20 minutes while we figure out how to get through this breach, because it wasn't my job to figure it out. So I just kind of stood there, and then obviously you just kind of shout across, because I don't know how we exactly got through. It wasn't a mass repel. It's one of these mass repels. One of these things. Because mass repels are a ritual that you can do, and then sometimes people like after the fact being like, oh, how many repels do we have? If they haven't got one set up, and then they were getting exorcists up right at the start to get rid of the tormented souls, because I don't think we
Yeah.
expected the tormented souls to be guarding the breach.
Well, what I heard was, now I don't know much about tormented souls, but I heard people say that they were a certain level of tormented souls, meaning that they had to
the
do
Exorcist game, right? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, meaning that they had to do multiple things there. And I saw as some of the exorcists went up and they were doing a lot of stuff, and then they were looking for everybody who they would need as many master repels as they could, and we were clearing a path so all of them could go up. Something happened there, and then I might be wrong. I honestly think that after all that happened, we all just went screw it and bombed
Well,
through
yeah,
them.
I think because they kept shouting back, oh yeah, mages. They wanted mages up front with shatters, So I think the idea was they were needing to shatter the weapons of the. Because that's the thing with the. Is it tortured souls or tormented souls? I think it's tortured souls.
It's what I asked at the start, isn't it?
It's
Because like
tortured souls.
I see you said tormented, and I thought it was tortured, and
No,
then I
whatever.
think we switched around, and now I don't know.
People
The
know.
tortured, tormented souls.
The tortured. People know what we're talking about now. They're basically possessed undead kind of. Because you can save them. Rather, that's like literally one of the objectives is that you can save them, but you can't kill them and then save them. Basically, like you have to take them alive to exercise them, but you can't get near them because they got huge, great big weapons that will curse you, or venom you or whatever, and they're heavily armored as well, so they're not actually easy to get by.
Because I saw some of them in that first push. There was a couple there, and I saw them actually getting like completely disarmed, held down to the ground, and then people doing something to save them. I saw that happening to a couple of them, and I was like, this is quite cool, actually. This is really amazing, like intense role play.
Yeah. Well, there was a Dornish Lance, and there was I know Highguard and Urizen. I think Urizen actually had a unit out in the field as well, literally, and that was their only job, was to just go around exercising.
Yeah, because like when we were doing a lot of the punching through that bit there, when we like ended up going through the breach, it was Brass Coast that was with us. Because I remember just having like a lot of Brass Coast around us, and like I felt racing one another getting through some of these things. It was quite epic actually, fighting alongside them.
It was easy to push the Dornish up because the Brass Coast were on that left wing were just pushing up so fast. I'm like, well, this is easy because you just keep up with, I'm like, don't let the freeborn show us up type thing. Blasted through that. Anyway, we bursted through that breach, and then it's into the woods, and then it was like, this is where the fun begins type thing, because we didn't. After that, the plan got a little bit. It was basically. When it came to the tortured souls, whatever the hell, I basically said to my people, like, you can, we can save them, but if you have to kill them, whatever. Just if you feel like, if you see one, shout for an exorcist. If they are in our way, then whatever, kill them. It didn't actually come to that because they all seemed to be on that freaking bridge. We pushed through the woods. Now the woods were, the foliage was heavy, right?
Oh yeah, there was definitely a few sections where I almost expected us to be told not to go through it. And typical Dawnish, I mean, nobody said we couldn't go through it, so we all just went through it.
Yeah.
And I am at this point, this is where I had this long flowing dress. And this is the point where I was like grabbing all the layers and I was tying it around my waist to make it some sort of weird battle skirt in the middle of the battle, after I ended up getting a strike down into the bramble bushes.
Yeah, so the strike down. So this is probably a good moment for me to do my apology and
yes, it is. On you go.
my confession. So basically a ref called me out for a strike down, and I mean, it's a stressful situation, right? I'm not making excuses. This is there's no excuse for answering that back. I'll explain exactly what happened in a second. But I've had, like, at the beginning of the year, I've had issues with my knees, and I was to a point where I was like, I hope this recovers in time for Empire. And I was very, like, I felt my ankle when we were in those woods. I was like, I felt my ankles kind of being like a little bit ginger. Now, the way I do, I've made sure that I've read the rules of strike down, and the rules are you need to basically go on your backside or on your front. And so, yeah, I practiced. So have you, because we've talked about this. I've practiced basically going down cross-legged, touching my backside to the ground, and then coming back up. And in those woods, they were like on the floor. They were like floor brambles, right? And there was so many times I got struck down. I'm just like, I don't want to fall into this, and you would have to like take 4 or 5 steps back to fall down. And there was one point, it was just like I would like put my knees up like this, and then someone struck me down, and I probably just did the thing, and I just probably popped back up really quick. And yeah, ref ran over to me and was like, strike down, you need to go all the way to the ground. And just out of in reaction, I was just like, I did. And then instantly I went, sorry, yeah, I will in future, I will. I'm sorry. Okay. And I was just like, naughty Ollie. That's what I mean. I disagree with the ref's call, but that's never an excuse. Like, if you disagree with a ref's call, always go and talk to. I mean, I would probably email after, unless it's something that needs really addressed there and then obviously go to the PD crew at the God Tent to talk about that type of thing. Like the refs have a hard enough job as it is, because you're being the ref's job. I'm assuming we really need to have a ref on and speak about this, because the ref's job is supposed to be an impartial party. In sport, that's how it works with refs. Like, you're supposed to be completely impartial, and you're there to be impartial and enforce the rules, and that's it. And safety, obviously, which is kind of part of the rules. But yeah, don't answer your refs back. I didn't know the ref, so if I can't remember your face, so I would have come up and tried to find you and apologize for that. So if you're listening, I apologize. Slap on the wrist, Ollie. But yeah, I have a habit of being a bit of a meathead on the battlefield, because it's a competitive, like, it is like it's like a competition, right? You're going out there, you're trying to win. And yeah, I have a habit, and my character's a bit of a meathead as well, so it's a little bit easy to get overrun with adrenaline and get overexcited, especially when you're like, we were winning as well. We were kicking ass. It was just like push through, push.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything, because we're pretty much coming to the end of that first half of the battle. Was there anything else that happened in the woods?
There was, I mean, I think you got like the most stuff there. There was a lot of really cool. What I will say actually, this battle, I got a lot of hits off this battle. I usually, like, I'm up the front fighting, but I usually do struggle sometimes to make contact and to do that. But yeah, I think thanks to my little combat training session from Kay beforehand, I was just like, in my head, I was like, okay, remember that this arm's staying here. Remember this arm is here. Okay, they're striking here, so I'm blocking like this. And I got so many hits off, and I was like, damn, okay, I'm going to have to take this more seriously.
That's a really hard thing to get over as well. Like having, especially with weapons, I think like, if you're used to doing like martial arts, your hands are your legs are your defense and your weapon, right? So you kind of want to be doing this, but when you've got a sword and a shield, or well, yeah, if you've got a shield or another sword in your offhand, like the temptation is when someone comes and attacks to meet that weapon.
Yeah.
But like you were taught, like, if you've got 2 weapons, just hold them there, and just got to trust the fact. The same with the shield, because people do it. I notice people do it with shields all the time. That they have a shield here, they are protected. You've got to trust that the shield is going to be there when that weapon comes at it. But some people go, oh, weapon's coming out, and they'll put the shield to the weapon, and then obviously they've opened themselves up completely. It's a real. And it's so easy to bait people into doing that as well. Like, a lot of the time, so for me, if I'm trying to get people with pole arms, it's difficult as a sword and shield to get to pole arms when strike down exists in the world. I usually just come down here and just threaten this uppercut to try and get their lead, to try and get their forward hand, just to try and get their hand to kind of do this, and then I can do that. But I know what you mean. A lot of the time, I don't really get many hits off either. It's just when you're doing that type of fighting where we're just pushing through as a wall of steel, you're just a body, basically. Like, your weapon
Yeah.
is your body, and you're just like, I'm a body, I'm walking forward, basically. You're doing more use taking some hits than you are actually attacking a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. Oh yeah. So yeah, I've got my strike downs. I also so in this battle, at this point, I had been hit with 2 cleaves, countless strike downs. I got hit with weakness, which is really annoying when you're trying to when you're trying to like command a line and again keep an eye on everyone and be like, right, okay, keep an eye on the battle. Then some smart ass Druge goes, oh, weakness, and you're like, oh, fuck, damn it, I can't even use unstoppable. So I like ran out the line. I found Viridian actually. I just shouted. I was just like, because I don't know who's gonna. I was like, weakness, who can heal it?
Yeah, I remember that. You were just standing there. I feel weak. Who can heal this?
Yeah. So yeah, that the weakness is an annoying one because I'm just like, oh, I'm useless. Basically, if I go down here, like it's just I'm useless now. So yeah, but then by the time we chased them out the woods, everyone was like, well, we just got the word from that left flank. They're like, the job's done. And we're like, oh, okay, we're going home.
Yeah, it was crazy because like I mean, I know like you were saying this a lot in the field and everything, and I think a lot of people were doing that thing where they were like, we're preparing that we're going to have to fight all the way through that field on the way back. We cannot gas ourselves in these woods.
Well, that was part of the plan. So
Yeah.
the plan was Dawn was first in, last out. So the plan was we would get everyone up the field, and then we were going to push back and then let everyone out first while we stay in the field,
Yeah.
Because we're the best. But it also means that we have to do that shit. But that didn't happen this time.
That did not happen.
It didn't happen this time. So we leisurely walked back through the breach out onto we were still, because from what I saw, I could still see enemies like on the main field, but they weren't blocking the exit home, because you come out of the breach and then you turn right and then you head out to the Sentinel Gate and home. And there was a line of Druge out to the left. The one thing I do want to say is well done to my little team of House Descendras and House Mortaire. I really didn't want to be too possessive of where is everyone. As long as I kind of knew where everyone was, I didn't want to be like, right, stay with me. I wanted to make sure that, if Rion needed to go off and go shatter a tormented soul weapon, and, because Rion's a more experienced player than I am, Jeffrey is, they know what they're doing. That everyone else in our little unit were the same, but we all had our strengths. If you felt like you needed to go off and help the Brass Coast skirmish, that was great. Another member went off and helped the marchers, because they're like, you know what, I'm useless here. I'm big and heavily armored, and I have a shield. I'm going to go help the marchers out for a little bit. Awesome, as long as I know where everyone was. But we don't work like the marchers or Wintermark or anything. We're not like a little turtle block of people. We are like a lot of individuals running off in all different directions, so everyone could just play to their strengths, But that works so well because all the other lances seem to be like that as well. So even though we started off with Durandal, you're not going to be completely lost if we end up with the other lances or the other wings, we weren't like, because that does happen. Sometimes they just appear there, and it's not that you're in the wrong place or anything. It's just like, well, we're all going where we need to be, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we strolled out, didn't we?
Well, what was really funny is when we came out onto the big field, there was still a few like Druge scattered around the edges, and one of the best lines was just Rion, like to you, being like, "Oh, my lord, there appear to be some Druge left. Shall we go and kill them?"
Oh,
and it was the way that we were all just like, yes, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, because it was totally sasafe. There was just a load of Druge just hanging out, and a load of Freeborn were just having fun. And I'm like, well, that looks like fun.
Yeah, that was where I got to like chase that Druge. I don't know, whoever you are who had the arrows. That was just such an amazing moment for roleplay.
Was that the one you flustered?
Yes, I was like, I saw them. They were like taking out the arrows and they were getting ready. And I felt like Jon Snow walking into, walking up to freaking oh my god, Ramsay.
This is a good anecdote. All right, Ramsay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I felt like Jon Snow walking up to Ramsay as he was trying to get these arrows out, just being like, nope, 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 and he just dropped everything and ran. They just like they dropped all their arrows, everything, and just bolted. I was like, this is amazing.
Well, this was the thing because basically, another thing I'll say as well is this time at for the fighting last year I had my chainmail that I got, like my starter set chainmail, which is when you're running around it feels like 40 kilograms, but it's heavy, and I had metal armor on top of that, and obviously my shield's quite bulky as well, but this time I had aluminium chainmail and polyplate, and I just felt it's also as well. Looking at pictures from 2022, and looking at pictures now, I noticed that I'd lost a bit of weight as well, and I don't know whether it's just like pandemic, coming off the pandemic and things like that. I think I'm just fitter than I was last year as well.
Yeah.
But we were halfway through the battle, and I was just like, I felt fresh as a daisy. I felt fast, and I was like, when Rion was like, "Should we go kill some Druge?" And it looked fine. I'm like, well, I may as well empty the tank because let's do it. And so we both sprinted over there, and we were like,
Is that where you like fetch somebody's arrow for them?
Yeah. It was, a freeborn had lost their crossbow bolt in the pond, and we were just we're bored, things to do, just like, oh yeah, we'll get the arrow out while we're killing. Like Rion was over, just having the time of his life, just like killing these Druids.
What I really love about Jeffrey as a player is I noticed something that he does once he's killed them. He literally leans down and goes, "Oh, thank you for monstering today. You can get up now." And there was just that really good conduct there, and I was like, oh, I might start doing that because I've now seen someone do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like literally that other players come back, they've given us a show. It was amazing, to say thank you, let them up and, see them later sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely good etiquette, especially when they're in Orc Mass, because you need to, sometimes the immersion is so good that you forget there's a human being and probably one of your friends from one of the other nations behind that mask, right? So
probably make us hit harder, actually.
Yeah, probably yeah. Keep that mask on. But definitely good conduct to be like, especially if they give you some good, those moments where they know they're screwed, that they know that we're having fun and we're just out to we're just slaughtering the last of them. We did a lot of executing there, but they know, and so that especially if they give you a good time of it and go, oh, and they die dramatically and let you have that hero moment, it's always good. It's always good to thank them for that as well.
Yeah, and then we had a real epic ending to the battle.
Hell to the friggin', well, because that's what I mean. It was just such a contrast to what I expected, because the plan was, and obviously we were like, oh yeah, Dawn's going to be last out, so that means we're going to have to basically everyone's going to be like, oh, get out to safety, everyone, and because we've done it so many times before, it's just like, oh, Navarre going out, so go swap places, and we literally have to swap places with whoever's fighting so they can get out.
Yeah.
And it can be a little bit, especially towards the end, because that's when it's really quite dangerous on the retreat. But we weren't retreating at this point, so we came out as we were approaching the gate. Again, we were supposed to be the last out, and we sort of were, but the marchers stayed, and they gave us this salute. They made an archway with their weapons, on either side, holding their weapons out, and it was fucking amazing. It's I was so hyped.
Oh my gosh, walking out there, seeing them all around, everybody's smiling, being able to drag our weapons across theirs as we walked out, and just being like, this is amazing. And I just felt such a bond between the nations there.
Well, it's because of all the, the nations have history, and probably yours and mine, personal role play, being in Dawn, and you get the whole Dawnish Marcher banter, and we've played a full season where our game has taken us through parts of the marches. We've spoken to a lot of March. We've made friends in the marches through like the Brock's Toll and things like that. And there's a lot of that
Oh, yeah.
competition, and we've never fought with them before. We've always fought against them in a way, like we've literally fought against them, you know, in like the
Yeah.
in the tournaments in the Brock's Toll. And there's all this like, oh, you know, obviously the banter backwards and forwards, and we never fight with them, you know.
Yeah.
But then being out on that field, and because that was one difference when we were at the breach. Sometimes you got to watch your back, because obviously you can get attacked. You're getting attacked from behind when you're trying to push through that breach. This time we had the marches like on the rear guard, and I had no worries at all.
Yeah.
And they were kicking ass, and then to come out, and it was just like what I expected. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to like protect them all as they leave, and for them to like show the rest of the Empire and Dawn that respect was just it was I was so hype. It was so cool.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so we got through, and once we got through the gate, we had to deal with your thing, didn't we?
Yeah, so I was possessed again,
Again.
and I had to get exercised again.
Yeah,
Like Forrest Gump. I went to the White House again, and I met the president again. No, so yeah, that's the moment where I decided to drop my, because again, when what the ref had said, like technically, if you use a hero point to ignore the effects, technically I wouldn't have even had to really address it until it was too late, I guess. I'm not entirely
Maybe.
sure.
Well, the reading of it, we might have to actually go back through that again, but I thought they're spending a hero point to ignore the effects. The role play effects meant that you can't ignore what's happening, but you can only ignore the role play effects for a period of time. I thought it was literally just while you're out like battling or
No,
or at any time.
No. So my understanding is that you can't. So if you have role playing effects, you can't ignore them, but you get to decide how your character deals with that. If they're like stoic and they're not showing, like you could like if the role play says you're hearing like malicious whispers, you can decide like, you know what, Godric doesn't care about malicious whispers, and I'm just going to act to other people as I normally would. Or I could be like, well, what's so?
Yeah.
But with the hero point, it means I get to ignore the role playing effects, i.e., they're not happening to me. So they're literally not happening to Godric. Not the player ignores it. I take it as the character ignores it, as in like it's not happening to them. But anyway, I decided because it's fun, and I was like, well, yeah, I got that curse, and I was like, oh yeah, I came through the gate. I'm not going to rehash all this. The Exorcist exercised me. Great job, great role play. I love being healed. I love having surgery done. I love having the exorcisms done, because
we know you spend so much time with them.
I spend a lot of time with healers. Excuse me. Yeah, getting magically healed, getting healed by physics, getting exercised. So yeah, I got exercised. I'm not going to go for all the details, because like basically it's the same kind of thing that happened at E4 last year. If you haven't listened to that one, go check that out, because that was a traumatic experience getting possessed for the first time.
Yeah.
But this was like, it's not my first rodeo this time.
Not my first possession.
It's not my first. It's okay, I've done this before. What else did we do after that? Were you hurt? So you didn't get any surgery done?
No, because I got treated on the battlefield, and because I was treated by something that would, I can't remember the wording, like remove the effects of venom or cure venom. I don't know. Okay. Basically, I did the thing. I got treated, did the role play, didn't have to do anything with a card. So we headed back to Dawn at this point. Now, this is where now we talked about your chaos fruit previously and what you did with yours when you sold it and everything. I was needing to fight an attorney. I was tapped out. I think I had 1 hero point left. I basically used everything, and we were fighting the attorney within the next like couple of hours. So I was approached by somebody in one of the houses that we do a lot with, and they said, "Oh, have you found anyone for your chaos fruit yet?"
These damn chaos fruits.
And I was like,
gotta catch them all.
Because they were like, "Oh, what can I get for you? Can I get you anything? Like I can trade you?" Because I'd mentioned about potions and stuff before. And I turned around to them and I said, "If you can restore all my hero points in the next 20 minutes. The card's yours. And they went, okay. And they ran off. I was like, I am never going to see them again. Yeah, so they ran off, and they were able to find and they were away for a little while. They came back and got me, and they were like, okay, come with me, you need to come to Highguard. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, they found
sure
you.
Nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they found a tent in Highguard. I believe it was the Grapevine.
Yeah, it's the Grapevine. It's
Yeah.
the one. It's the one by the Sentinel Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically they had an effect in play there where basically you spend 10 minutes within that area, sitting down within that area, and you will then regain all of your hero points.
Yes, Leonin's Pavilion, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And it was great. We sat down. The person that had made the connection introduced me to them. They got me a cup of mead and like an enchanted goblet and everything, which made me feel really good and things. And it was great. I got to meet some people, and that's the thing. I like making connections, and I thought a very good trade for this fruit that people want is a connection. I don't.
Also, that's good game for the seneschal, and that's good seneschalling. Like being like, not just being like, oh yeah, I want to pay the best price for this fruit. It's just like you have a warrior come back, and they're like, because that's the thing. If I'm a noble, I don't really care too much about money. But every time someone came and wanted something from me, I was like, look, if you can save me legwork, that's all I care about. I don't care about coin or fruit or whatever. I'm like, you can have this fruit if you save me legwork. Like I need this potion and I need it fast. Basically, I don't want to walk all around Amwell looking for this potion. If you can give me this fruit at a reasonable price, if you can get me that at a now, then have the fruit. And like you said,
that's the thing. I was like, I need to fight an attorney. I need to be my healthiest. And they're sitting there. It was great. Yeah, so it was a seneschal that had done all that for me, and they introduced me to a few people, and it was great. I got to sit and chat away. And this is where I came across something rather interesting in this tent.
Oh, I wasn't here, by the way. Just for listeners, I wasn't here.
So, there's a little thing at Empire. We get a lot of things passed around, and one of the things that's really, really popular is smut. Usually, like character smut, things like that. Just a little point in this, there has been a recent rule change in regards to smut at Empire. So if that is the type of thing you want to kind of get into, make sure you go and read that.
Yeah. Be careful.
So yeah, be careful. It's yeah. So we were I was sitting there and somebody had like a smut magazine. And we were chatting away and everything, and they were talking, and I'd mentioned Godric, and we're chatting away, and the person in front of me just stopped and looked at me and went, "Did you say Godric?" And I was like, "Yes." Stranger in a tent that I've never seen before. And they went, "Is this him?" And they turned it around, and who is it? Like Godric in a smutty magazine.
I'm so glad that came out as organically as that in play. I'm so glad that it
so
came
organic.
Out that way. Oh, that is so hilarious.
It was beautiful. It was perfect.
I know it was. It was me.
Oh dear, I did message the artist after to be like, by the way, this is where it ended up, and they were like super chuffed by that.
Yeah. So by the way, I was out of character. I was aware that it was around.
Yeah, this was all. Yeah. Yeah, that's where the rules sort of come into it. There is that like these sort of things don't go drawing someone without their consent. Yeah. So and I believe that person or somebody there later on brought it to you, didn't they?
Yeah. We'll definitely get to that, but I think you came back. I want to also like put a bow on the battle as well, because importantly, I'm mostly sure that we completed both objectives, and we did it in good time. And guess what? We lost. So I heard we lost 2 people in Dawn. These numbers might not be 100% correct. I heard we lost 2 people in Dawn, and I later heard that we lost 4 people overall.
Yeah.
We lost 4 people from all 6 nations because
Yeah.
I think we spoke to, it was probably Pixie. I think we spoke to Pixie, and I said, because I was going around after the battle. I think while you were doing that, I was basically walking around asking everyone,
Oh
did you
yeah.
lose? You know, did everyone come back? Because, so yeah. Also, yes, good news as well. I didn't get anyone killed in my first time out. So
Woohoo.
all my people came back, which is a win. So basically, my everything is just a bonus now at this stage of this event, because that's all I had planned, was to go out on the battlefield, have a small small leadership role, and get everyone back alive. That was my only objective. Also, again, thank you to the people who helped me out of character and in character, the people who supported me on the battlefield by like giving me little just kind of in character, like, "Ooh, yeah, just oh, what are we doing?" You know, especially I think kind of Jeffrey prompted me once or Rion prompted me once or twice, being like, "Oh yeah, but what's the next move? This, that, the other." But also the battle was a good one, because I wasn't really, there wasn't anything massively challenging. Like, we didn't get into any spots where
No.
I was like, oof, now I have, my decision making is now being tested. It was pretty straightforward. We had a plan. We pretty much executed it. That was it. Good first experience. And also, yeah, compared to last year, well, yeah, in character, out character last year, compared to last summit in autumn, E4, where we lost like 40 people in Dawn over the event,
Yeah, it was bad.
to this time having lost 2, was a big difference, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. It was very sort of inspirational and
Mm,
everything when everybody was talking about it afterwards. The
yeah.
fact that we just, yeah.
And there was 3. Again, we'll circle back around to what to when you came back, but I also want to just put the cherry on top by saying, and I said this in roleplay quite a lot. I think there were 3 reasons why the battle was so successful. 1, Dawn uh, worked on the mistakes from last time.
Mhm.
2, the nations worked well together. Specifically, the Brass Coast and the Marches were freaking amazing. You know, had made a massive difference having the Brass Coast and the Marches just be absolutely awesome fighters, and
Yeah.
also, you know, the Marches work really well with us. And 3, I said that this is what I said in character to some people. I was like, I felt like the Druge had a few recruits that didn't show up to the battle. Maybe they were drinking a bit too much the night before, and a few of them are maybe new recruits. So that's, if you can get what I'm trying to say there, basically. I was like, those are the 3 reasons we did so well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess so then after that I was back in Dawn. I ran back to Dawn because somebody who was at the Great Line kind of like went over to me and was like, "Oh, Aronel, right?" I was like, "Yes, hello." They were like, "Shouldn't you be somewhere just now?" Literally, and that's just this point with the tourney. There was 3 different times flying about this tourney. One thing said it was 2:15. One thing said it was 2:30, and now I'm getting told it was 2. So I'm like
Yeah, that
looking at
happens.
the clock.
Yeah, that, by the way, that happens a lot when you're at Anvil. Because there's not really a big, that there are people that put up timetables, but they're not 100% all the time. So,
No.
and then obviously by the time you read it and then you walk up, several people have told you a different time, and then you're like, oh wait, what is it? So, but it was 2:30, luckily for you.
It was have to. So I ran back, and it was actually the egregore who told me
Yeah,
that it's going to be have to.
yeah.
So that was all great. But yeah, so got back and in time, because what I needed to do is do a little bit of chatting with a few people first,
Because why?
because I was going for the Night Protector of Winter. And I needed to make sure I had plenty of people on my side. And I'd already done a lot of chatting with different
Mhm.
people. And I haven't mentioned all that yet, but I had gone over to the Rondel tent. I'd spoken there.
Do you want to
I'd
explain like the format for people who aren't in Dawn or haven't played? Like, what is the Night Protector, and why you have to talk to these people?
Yeah, so the Night Protector, there's 4 Night Protect.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I complete like brain, and I wasn't prepared to say something there, and I kind of went, yeah. There's 4 Night Protectors in Dawn. There is one for winter, one for summer, one for spring, and one for autumn. And 4 positions, 4 tourneys a year, each one in their correct season. So this was the winter one. So we were doing the Night Protector for winter. It's decided based on a tourney. Now, the tourney is in the Glory Square, and the idea is that you want to get people to fight for you or fight with you there in the Glory Square. Because no matter who actually wins or who the last person left standing is, they can nominate people because there are Night Protectors who are non-combatant. So that way, people who are non-combatant can still put themselves forward for these positions, but you need to do that sort of work of, finding people to support you.
Yeah, because the tourney, the rules of the tourney, the combat rules, is that it's a free for all. Like there's no
Yes.
teams or anything. It's a free for all. But the idea is that you want to kind of get people to be like, hey, a free for all. There's very small chance, like a Royal Rumble. Basic is a Royal Rumble, like, and it's like there's such a slim chance that you are going to win, but no matter how skilled you are,
Yeah. And then also it's nobles only for competing in this tourney. But because of our hearth magic in Dawn, people can Black Knight, simply meaning that they cover up their heraldry and they cover up part of their face or their full face. That could be by wearing a helmet or a mask over their mouth. Or last year when I did this, I wore a veil over my face. If they are Black Knighting, people in Dawn cannot tell who they are. And that way they could be a noble in Dawn or they could be a Yo folk. We wouldn't know, but that's how they are able to come and compete. So I did a little bit of, going around different tents and things. And I'd been given some advice on best way to do this because I needed to, put a case forward as to why I would be, a good candidate for this and so on. And I spoke quite heavily of my tested metal and facing the Endless Stalker, which is a winter herald, the previous summit, which was pretty good. So I put my case forward. I got a lot of people backing me. And we were getting close to the start of the journey. And Lady Morrigan came to grab me and she was like, I need to take you to some people. I need to make sure that you have all the support. And I am officially naming you as the person where my support is going.
As the current Night Protector, right?
Yes, because she is the current Night Protector of Winter. And that's what she was doing. So we went up and I don't think I can name all the character names here, but there was quite a few different people around. And when she kind of took me up and I saw a lot of people kind of looking almost a little bit worried. And then she walked up with me and they all looked at me and went, yes. And like did this sort of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is quite, this is amazing. And in the end, I had a wonderful team of people fighting for me. The person that I was fighting against, I don't think I've got permission to use their name, but we actually spoke first. They came up to me and I was like, yeah, let's go have a conversation. And we had a really heartfelt conversation where we realized we had similar goals and we made a deal. We shook each other's hand in that moment and made a deal. No matter which one of us were to become Night Protector, we would honor the fact that we both wanted basically we both want to get rid of that Endless Stalker. I mean, yeah. We had him, there was a lot of things happened there. We had that moment and it was really beautiful. And then we all got into the Glory Square, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit nervous at this point.
It was quite funny. Like the details of this, like we'll obviously we're going to tell it from our point of view because obviously, like the Night Protector is an imperial title, so yeah, there's quite a bit at stake, and obviously, yeah, people kind of choose a side and things like that. So this is from our point of view, by the way.
It's totally our point of view. Yeah. And I'm quite interested to hear others' points of view from this as well, because obviously we only saw from where we were. Standing there, I was looking at all the people on the other side.
There was like 4 of us and there was like 20 people like looking at us. It was like, but we kind of knew that people were going to show up, but it was quite funny. The timing of it all was quite hilarious.
It was a moment where I was like, I know I have support, and I know the people that are supporting me might be fashionably like, they'll just slaughter in as it starts.
It was freaking cool though, you gotta admit.
Oh my gosh, I'm standing there and I'm like, this is fine. This is fine. And there's just very slowly more and more people appeared behind me
Yeah.
as all of like stuff. It was like a lot of like Orzels were out behind me, and then I see other people coming over, and I was like, oh, good, they came.
It was quite funny because there was a moment where they were like, right, are we about ready? We're about ready to do the Night Protector tournament, and everyone on the other side was actually already in there. And it kind of, I think there was more than this, but it felt like there was you and me and another person who's Black Knighting. Like just, just stood on our side, but like you said, you had support from like two big houses,
Yeah.
with players of a quite high power level as well. So it kind of, when we started fighting, it started evening. It was a very even fight, you know.
Oh yeah, and it started, and I remember like somebody saying to me, oh, my lady, like stay back, stay in the middle. And I was like, no, I'm proving myself here. I will be in the front, and like push forward. And then before I knew it, it was like this, it was almost like a charge.
It was more like a battle. It wasn't like
it was
wasn't
a
like a free for all.
battle.
It was more like a battle. It was like basically pushing and then pushing back, then stepping back, and then thing is that the other side, we managed to wrap them into that corner. And then after that, once they started stepping back and they started getting crushed in that quarter, it was just curtains for them, because it didn't matter, because there was like, I got like 2 shields shattered. But it didn't matter because I could just be like, dum-de-dum. I had enough space just to walk out, pick up my next one, and just be like, dum-de-dum. It was good fun as well. Like, it was really good fun.
Like, one person almost got me. You know who you are. Somebody decided to come up behind me and try to paralyze me. Didn't go very well, did it?
What is it with tall stag mages and trying to paralyze the pair of us?
No.
Tournament. What is it with that?
I will say they came to apologize in character afterwards. So, I've noted that, but whatever.
Oh no, we'll remember this. Yeah, I had a real good laugh with that. It was just good fun. Like, it was obviously fun for me because I ended up on like the ones that were actually crushing them into the corner. But everyone was being like a real good on my side anyway. Everyone was on my side of the tournament ground. Everyone was being a real good sport. There was a couple of players that were having a good laugh, and they were like, "Oh, let's get this out of the way, shatter the shield, and I have to go running off, get another shield, and then come back."
There was a lot of comedy within it. Sorry?
I totally legally got another shield, by the way. Yeah, it was totally in the glory square when I started, because them's the rules. Because them's the rules. Them's the rules. Glory's about winning.
Oh dear. But yes, it got to that point, and yeah, the other side went down, and there was still a lot of people in the glory square. And then this bit here, I was in shock at this moment when Beaumont Durandal looked to me and got down on one knee and held his sword out. And then everyone did the same in a big circle. And he said that they yield to me and I am their Night Protector. And I was in such shock. I couldn't make words form. And I was like, I thought, okay, I'm going to look around me. I want to make eye contact with all the people that are down on one knee. You were already on one knee because you were cleaved.
Oh, I was cleaved. So because the rules of cleave, I mean, the rule of cool, right? The rules of cleave is that I couldn't actually move. I'm like, no one's going to care if I'm not missing out. I'm not going to be sat in the middle of the glory square being like, I'm glad RNL's having this moment, but I'm like on my back. Like, so I just hopped over and they went down on one knee to do this. I'm like, I'm not getting left out of this.
And I like made eye contact with everyone as I was looking around, and I saw how many people were actually there on like my side, and I was just like, oh, it was amazing. And I thanked everyone, and I swore that I would do everything in my power to defend from the Winter Realm. And I stood up, and Lady Morrigan came in with the banner that I'm not sure I was meant to take home.
Yeah, but it's home now.
Behind me now.
We've got an episode with a guest that we've already recorded and we haven't released it yet. And they saw the banner and they were like, "Is that Night Protector banner?" Everyone's like, "Yeah." It's like, I think you're supposed to hand that back to be. Someone's probably looking for that.
It's here, PD. Just here.
I'm sure they're cool with it. They know where it is. So
safe.
It's yeah, at least they know it's safe and is in a dry, safe area, isn't going anywhere. So
Yeah, so we did that. I became Night Protector of Winter, and that was just pretty freaking epic. So
so
yeah.
cool. It was a Game of Thrones moment. It was so Dornish, and it was so it was so Game of Thrones, like King in the North vibe, like just that's the
Oh
thing
yeah.
that's the moment that you sign up for, that you have to, sometimes you have to wait a little while for these moments, but those are the moments that you totally sign up for to play in a hero fantasy game. It was freaking cool. And who took, someone captured it on there's a photo of it.
Richard Burge, I think it was,
Richard
captured
Burge,
it.
you absolute legend.
Oh
You
my god, that
honestly,
picture.
the picture is fucking epic. Like it captures like you, and it's all the, like, thing is as well, it's the people
I
that,
cried, didn't I?
yeah,
I was so emotional when I saw it.
it's the people. It was the perfect time. You're like looking, obviously the people around you, like include people like senators and generals, and yeah, it was yeah, and obviously you had like the backdrop was another perfect thing, because it wasn't just that group of us all like holding our swords without the halves out towards you.
Yeah.
It was the all the people around the Glorious Square, and like in the distance there's like little House Mortaire, like there's
Oh,
literally,
they're standing like this.
it's so amazing, because they're like, there's like 3 members of House Mortaire, and they're just like, they look so proud in the distance,
Oh,
and it's
so proud. And then
cool.
our egregore is captured as well, just like fondly looking on. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
That's right. Yeah, Lady Griffin's Bane's like, it just,
Yes.
they've got that look of like, I'm so proud of my players, just like it's such a good photograph. Right, we just had a little break to discuss what we're going to discuss now, because we've realized that we are at kind of a full episode's length right now, and we still have a lot to talk about Saturday.
So much still to
Yeah,
talk
Sunday. We said in the last episode there isn't actually too much to say on Sunday, because Sunday was a bit of a weird day. But we've got definitely a full episode, maybe more of stuff to talk about on Saturday. But I wanted to give the battle, which was my highlight, and the Night Protector of Winter, it's due as well in a full episode. So we are going to wrap it here. And we're going to carry on next time just after the Night Protector, because we do go off and we do a lot more. We go for the Sentinel Gate a couple more times.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a couple more times.
A couple more times.
Yeah. So much happens.
A lot more happens on Saturday. So anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you follow and subscribe so you know when a new episode is posted. You can go check out some of our other videos if you haven't already concerning Empire LARP. Make sure that you leave us a comment down below if you were there, if you interacted with us, if you're interested in Empire LARP or LARPing in general. Make sure you send us a question. We'll try and see if we can help you out, or just say hey in the comments. Let us know that you've got to the end of this episode. Until the next time, though, we love you and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.